Hey everybody, if you're not watching live on our Badonkagong podcast, we're watching this video now on the YouTube channel right here. So make sure you subscribe and let's get into it. You ready, Aaron?
Yes, Clone Wars, Battle of the Heroes. Hello there.
Okay, well this music is not in Revengeance. We're going red.
Okay, that's cool.
That means it's important. Yeah, we got Battle of the Heroes.
I hear both there, right?
All right, yeah, and we're going classic.
This is like the last
too.
season of Clone Wars kind of thing here. Could you imagine if this was in the last season, like with like all the stuff that was going on?
I like what we got, but I get you. Ooh, okay. Ooh, this is interesting.
Huh.
This is Christophsis arc that was never aired from the Clone Wars, so you can watch the animatics.
You can't take responsibility for Ahsoka's decision, Anakin.
How would you feel if I turned into a major disappointment?
It's not the same.
It's precisely.
Character models look great.
Yeah.
You took me under your wing and practically raised me.
I'm your Padawan, just like Ahsoka was mine.
I like the
How
voices
well
too.
would you sleep knowing I failed you?
Not very well, I imagine.
Yeah, I wonder if there's
Luckily,
AI in
that
there or
isn't
not.
true.
Luckily, that isn't true. Oh my god.
Never will be.
I like that intensity they had on Clone Wars Anakin there. And now, do we jump?
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just most excited to hear these voices say these lines.
Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
If you're not with me,
Then you're my enemy!
Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I will do what I must.
you will
We'll
try.
try. Look at the movement on the sleeves.
I wonder if we will not cut away.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Okay, they definitely have the Clone Wars trails, which is that
Sure,
kind
yeah.
of curved trail.
But it's not jumping to the next move, though. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? How they would do that?
Huh, interesting. It's definitely not committing to all Revenge of the Sith or all Clone Wars. It's a mix between, which is kind of jarring to me, but I do like it. Okay, nice. You can definitely, I mean, I've watched this fight a million times. You can definitely see what's going on here. Yep. Yep. Here it comes. Yeah.
I always love this fight.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, the model work is great. I mean, they have the advantage of being able to just perfectly reference Revenge of the Sith.
Sure, yeah.
So, you know, like, they're doing a little...
cool.
Yep. They're doing a little bit of... Oh, here we go, yeah.
Would you think they'll switch hilts?
I don't know. I mean, we're definitely adding some stuff in that was cut out. Here we go, yep.
It doesn't have to end like this, Anakin.
The Empire will thrive under my rule, but you won't be alive to see it.
Yeah, a lot of cut stuff from this era.
Yeah.
I love this music. Yep.
Yep.
I always hated that, by the way.
Really?
Yep.
Eh.
This part where they're just kicking each other,
that I
it's
always
the
thought
worst part of the duel.
It was a clothesline with a foot. And
I know.
That's the thing I always thought was silly.
Yeah. And he just like runs into Obi-Wan's foot there. But,
Yeah, it's like a clothesline.
But hey,
you know?
they're homaging it. That's what the original had. You gotta do it. This
Whoa,
is
what's
sweet.
this?
This is such good stuff that they cut out George Lucas.
You don't know.
No, I do.
Is this?
I do know.
That's really cool. I love that. That force pull into the table.
There we go. You think they're gonna do this better?
No. Better?
They did. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have the gravity of the Clone Wars. Were you thinking it was going to have the gravity of the Clone Wars?
I don't know. It's hard to think about like Clone Wars as like fight feeling, but doing it as Revenge of the Sith.
You know, like one of the reasons the
has
Clone
that
Wars
middle ground.
lightsaber trails have that kind of curviness into it is to give a lot more life into a very stilted choreography from that, especially the early show.
Sure.
And seeing it in this very intricate choreography, it's too distracting for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't notice it as much. I
Damn
like
light
it,
whips.
I like it better than in lightsaber fights in Clone Wars when they just kind of jump from like, here's the connection,
Yeah.
jump to this connection.
Yeah.
And you don't really see the movement.
And they get
Light
on
whips.
Thin.
Shut up.
Then they get on the thin thing, and then the droid's like, "Oh crap, I gotta get out of here." But hey, the models look great. The facial animations look great. You don't have to, you know. I doubt they redid the sound and everything in the music. They're just lifting it, right?
Probably.
But I mean, here's the thing: like, I'm seeing Hayden Christensen's personality that Clone Wars Anakin doesn't really have in his movement. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Sure. I mean, it has to be a meld of the two,
Yeah.
right? This is Hayden's fight.
Yeah. I think this fight, is a total of like 14 minutes originally, and then it's down to like 12 in the final cut.
They definitely cut out a good few chunks of it. I remember that. I don't.
One of the
remember how
longest
much, though.
sword fight scenes in history.
Because later on, like watching it the first time when I was younger, I was like, "Oh, it's so cool." But I remember watching it later on, and be like, "Dang, I wish they weren't cutting away here. I want to see what
And
happens."
they're
here."
gonna go over a lava waterfall.
Well, first we have to swing.
Man, John Williams is just like he's more on fire than Mustafar is in this song. I love Battle of the Heroes. Oh,
Just so many good songs.
oh, oh. Aaron,
I love
you know?
this, and I love Duel of the Fates, though. I like both
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot. Now we gotta hop on the
I
droid.
mean, hey, I mean, some of these shots I can kind of squint and just be like, this is just still the movie.
Oh yeah. No, I mean,
So great job. The atmospheric.
I think a lot of the
effects.
environment stuff looks real good.
Yeah.
But when you see them, you know, obviously. But
Yeah,
I mean, that looks really good right there.
it was fantastic. You know, it has that element of like tracing is the wrong word because I think that implies that you're not doing as much work as obviously is being done. You know, but it does have that element of like, oh, I recognize all this.
I wonder how far it goes.
I have found you, Anakin.
Does it go to him just screaming and he walks away?
I have found you.
I have failed you, Anakin.
Hey, Eric, spoilers.
I should have known the Jedi was plotting to take over.
Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Well, then you are lost.
What do you think those guys are thinking?
That's the craziest day at work they've ever had.
We're just here mining lava or whatever it is they do,
Yeah.
you know?
This is the end for you, my master.
Love the foot placement. That's that very Clone Wars compared to the Revenge of the Sith.
It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. You underestimate my power.
Good.
Don't try it.
How far do we go, you think?
I'm assuming he yells and he walks away.
Okay.
But I don't know. Some way.
You were the chosen one. It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them. Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness.
I definitely have thoughts, Aaron. I have thoughts when we're done.
I hate you.
my brother Anakin. I loved you.
This just sounds like Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, I don't know if they pulled some of the audio or what. Man. I mean, I would probably assume that guy's dead too.
Oh yeah, he's
You know, he's sitting there on lava burning.
yeah. I
So I don't know that I would just leave him like that.
I go kill him. But I mean, he's going through it, and he will continue to go through it for 10 years until the guy burning comes up and say, "Hey, man, it wasn't your fault."
Yep, there it was.
Yeah,
Turned
there
and walked
it
away.
was.
Oh, it's not over, Eric. There's more.
We got
He's
it.
coming to get him.
Yep. There he is. I love that Palpatine walks like a T-Rex. I love it. Like, he just has these weapons anytime. Bam! You know?
Oh. Man, we just kind of keep going with it.
We might go to the You Killed Her scene soon.
Yeah, we go all the way to the creation of just maybe the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Those medical droids are almost the same exact droids that work on Luke.
Oh, we're going to here too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oompa. Oompa. I love those nanny droids. Show me Anakin's eyes. It's a slightly different angle. I mean, that could just be live action right there.
I mean, it really could be.
Obi-Wan. There's good in him.
Well, hey guys, just at this point, do the whole movie.
I know.
Yeah.
Clone Wars version of the whole prequel trilogy. See Vader take his first breath, and then we cut to her taking her last. You know?
Oh, you're gonna tell me why Revenge of the Sith is one of the best movies of all time. May 19th, 2005. When I first saw this movie. Midnight showing.
Oh. Anyone have to know?
Don't know. Cowards? No, I'm kidding.
Cowards.
I always thought it was weird when Vader crossed his hands there. He so rarely does that.
Cross his hands?
His arms.
His arms?
Yeah.
Does he really cross his arms?
He usually just stands straight. See the red lenses in there? It's awesome. Did the Revenge of the Sith Vader suit have the red lenses?
I know they did in Clone Wars, right? Whenever he's like looking at the end of the
Yeah.
crash and everything.
All right.
So it may be using that if they didn't in
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith.
Great stuff. Fantastic.
Oh,
Ben
what-
Johnson,
what were the-
animator.
What'd they do for voices? Do they just...
They haven't done it yet.
Cause I don't know if they just pulled a lot of it or if it was someone doing it.
Man, I know you guys got a lot of views on YouTube, but I bet you All that monetization is going to with all this music, you know.
Huh.
What did it say?
Okay. So. Yeah, there we go.
And all the patrons.
Thank you for the patrons. that
Okay,
helped
well,
do this.
awesome. Thank you, Gunk.
The audio section said that it was pulled from Revenge of the Sith and Lego's Skywalker Saga.
That makes sense. The Lego games.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Which I thought was interesting that was where. And then they had a section just after that said additional lines by someone else, I think. But
Sure.
I don't know. I don't remember
Yeah.
who it was. So a
All
lot of
right.
that then the audio-wise is pulled from
Yeah.
whatever they had for those, which I don't know what they used.
Mhm.
They might have, more than likely, Lego Star Wars, if they had lines for that, they probably used, James Arnold Taylor and Matt Lanter and stuff like that for that.
I mean, obviously, when you play that game, you're supposed to use the versions that's where they just emote.
I guess, yeah, that's true.
All right, so Aaron, Hello There Productions. What'd you think?
I mean, I thought it was really interesting. I'd
Yeah.
love to see like a more like animation style version of Clone Wars or the Star Wars prequel. I think it's just kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. It was pretty good. There's something about the Clone Wars fights that don't usually gel a lot with me because they're not all done like Ahsoka versus Maul at the end, right? It's not actually people fighting and they're using that as how the fight's going to be played out, whereas this one is using it, so it has that leg up on it. Usually it's like you use the key art of like here's where the connections are, and the from a high strike to a low strike, it's a strike and then kind of a blur to the next one. And the motion and the movement is just
animation is so different. Like generally, anime and animation, you pause on strikes, right? Like in real choreography, and you're going here, 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 here. In animation, you go here, 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 here. You know?
Yeah.
And the filler frames between those strike lines happen very quickly to the point where like if you pause it, they don't look like anything sometimes. They look like just like
a blur.
Blubber, like paint on a page, because it's very different. And Clone Wars kind of did that to a certain extent with style of fighting. So going into this, like I will say, having watched it now, my only complaint is that it's too good.
Too good.
Like for an example, like it's distracting to me to see the textures of the rocks on the lava beach. If you told me that was just a photograph of a lava beach, I'd be like, oh, that's what that looks like, you know. But next to Anakin's face with not surface scattering, and it doesn't have the same qualities as the rocks right beside his face. There's a little bit of a mismatch for me sometimes, but I'm only saying that because you made everything look too good.
Sure.
It looks really, really good, which is a compliment and a critique.
I really like the like not cutting away as well, like seeing like them just do a whole fight.
Oh yeah, they kept the pace of Revenge of the Sith and not of a Clone Wars fight. Yeah.
Yeah, like the pulling him to the table, like those kind of things are really cool, and the stuff that we didn't get to see in the movies, like I think it's really cool to see that stuff as well.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite things about it.
Me too, man.
I've never watched like whatever their initial fight would have looked like. I don't know if that's available or out there somewhere to just like, here's the whole fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, uncut, without any of the editing or any of that stuff.
You can see some of the deleted scene stuff. There's a lot of visual diary stuff. Nick Gillard has released some stuff. So I appreciate that they actually pieced some of those things back in there. And they added the Christophsis storyline
episode. Is that what it is?
Well, yeah, they're just episodes that we got animatics of, and that scene was one of them. But we never got it produced. But that was a fantastic scene and a really interesting choice to put it in front of this duel.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's placed more of like after Ahsoka has left, and they're talking about that, and he's like, "You'll never do that."
Yeah, exactly.
I just thought that was interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
If we can get really technical for a little bit.
Oh, we haven't?
No.
Okay.
Not yet. We're about to get really technical. Think about when Hayden Christensen comes back to play Anakin Skywalker, and you see him fight, and you're like, "Oh my God, he looks so good." He like, I can feel Anakin. That's Anakin there, you know? And if you brought another actor to do the exact same choreography, it wouldn't feel the same.
Sure.
It just wouldn't. Like, I've personally choreographed for and shot and edited and did visual effects for, let's say, 10 individuals in my lifetime. they all fight, look, move differently.
Sure.
It's like a fingerprint. You cannot.
When we did Ferocity,
Yeah.
there is a person who's credited because they were working initially on doing the choreography and was going to be in the fight.
Yeah.
And then they didn't, and I took their spot.
You took their spot, and you used some of their choreography that they had done.
Yeah, and the fighting for it, like it was, a lot of it's very similar choreography or most of the same choreography.
Yeah.
But I perform differently.
You do it differently
than they perform.
You have
So,
a
yeah, that's
signature
definitely a thing.
style. I mean, as does Ewan McGregor, especially these actors that have spent, before each of these movies, 4 to 5 months training, and you develop that style. That's why we talked about it a little bit in our top 10 video games video when I talked about the Revenge of the Sith video game, and Hayden Christensen came to the place where these guys were making the game, and he was just showing him all of his moves.
Yeah.
And those moves, they are Anakin moves. Despite never having seen him in any of the movies, he's doing Hayden Christensen moves. It's a fingerprint. And what Clone Wars doesn't have is fingerprints to their fighters. They have cool ideas. They have broad strokes. But I can't look at a move and say that's Asajj Ventress's move. I can look at a weapon. I can look at a gag, but in terms of the sloop of the shoulders, how far apart feet and knees are, where you turn your hips, the momentum, that's so integral to individual actors and performers that when I see it in the Clone Wars models, it looks weird. Does that make any sense? It doesn't look like I'm watching the Clone Wars. It looks like I'm watching Revenge of the Sith with a Clone Wars
skin.
Yeah, a TikTok filter put
Filter.
over it. But the world's best filter that's ever existed. Because again, the production is off the charts, looks amazing. I'm only just trying to
Sure.
get out my immediate thoughts of that type of thing.
The only thing with any of that I was trying to tell if it looked weird was when he crossed his arms. His arm looked weird, and it looked like it flattened out.
Vader's?
Yeah.
I've always kind of
thought it
felt that
looked
way.
weird.
Just because, the Vader suit is very restricting. Usually it's a bodybuilder, in a big clunky suit, and that's why, he generally just keeps his hands down, or maybe he'll put them in his belt. But to do this when you have giant arms and a huge suit is hard to do. So you almost never see it happen in the original trilogy. But when they did Revenge of the Sith, Hayden Christensen was like, hey, can I wear the suit? So they made a suit that fit him. And the suit that fits him does not look the same as a suit that's going to fit Dave Prowse, So he actually can put that up there because the suit's not as bulky. And there was always a part of me when I would watch that, I'd be like, why does that look off? And over the years, I think I've always just been like, oh, okay, it's because his arms are so close to his chest, and that almost never happens with the bodybuilder.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
Okay.
there's little things like that kind of kept me from being super immersed.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I was super appreciative of everything I was seeing, especially the added in bits and trying to nail. Obviously, they were trying to nail Revenge of the Sith way more than they were trying to nail Clone Wars.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you need to. It's just
Yeah.
trying to get that. I wouldn't want that fight, but in an older Clone War style.
Yeah.
I want it to be like they're mocapping Maul and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
They're mocapping Ewan and.
And here's the
Hayden,
thing, whenever we watched the Darth Maul Ahsoka or the Maul Ahsoka fight, we could see Ray Park.
Yeah.
You can see his moves.
Sure.
But, and what's not really talked about as much is the headache / all the work that was put into not making it look so different it doesn't belong on the show. Does that make sense? There's a lot of work to we had motion data of Ray Park doing that, but 70% of that animation is still keyframed. It's not motion capture. They just use it as reference.
Sure. Yeah.
Here I kind of felt like we got a lot more, obviously not motion capture, but motion matching,
Sure.
as opposed to trying to then bring in the flavor that makes Clone Wars, which is fine. I'm just weird about lightsaber fights. I've always have been.
Sure.
Yeah, but man, it just makes everything about that Revenge of the Sith scene just better. Just seeing it again in a new light, it kind of gives you a feeling of being able to erase your memory a little bit and watch it again for the first time because it is so foreign looking at it through these models and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, for sure. It was definitely cool. I think they did a really good job. I can see why it got a lot of views. It's also one of the, I think one of the best fights in Star Wars is that fight right there. I think it's
Yeah.
up there with Duel of the Fates for me, which I enjoy that one a lot
Yeah.
too. And this one I think has, there's more emotion to the fight itself.
There is.
Than there
It's
is in
also
some of the
so
other ones.
long that it gives itself chances to show what it's not great at. You know, like that kicking scene on top of the table. Like, I would 100% cut that out and leave in Obi-Wan's feet against the table being risen up. Like that's
I thought that was great.
gold.
I would.
But the kick sucked.
I would take the drop kick, but
Yeah.
not the clothesline kick. I always thought Obi-Wan's kick was weird because it was like he was running to his saber. Like, not Obi-Wan, but Anakin's
Sure.
like running to his saber, and in his way, Obi-Wan just puts his foot up.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's always weird.
I mean,
But everything else I thought was really good.
yeah, I'm trying to I need to articulate why I don't like it. When I think of like the flow of the Force, like be one with the Force and let it flow through you, I don't think of like quick, disjointed movements like a drop kick.
Oh.
You know, I think of like a movement that flows in the next, that actually gets you. But that's just a preference. So I'm not saying it's bad.
Sure.
At all. Any bad thing I say on this,
I
I'm
just
not
think
saying
a
it's
clothesline
bad.
kick doesn't work as well because, like,
Yeah.
for an arm, you can get that up so much faster than it's like, let me put my leg up here and kick you with it.
Let me put
And
my
it was
leg in the
just-
danger zone.
It just always
Yeah,
felt weird. Like,
sure.
I'm like, why doesn't he just, like, push that deck down or something? So, I don't
Yeah.
know. But no, I thought it was done really well, and it's not like,
Mm-hmm.
how dare you have them do kicks? That's what they did.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, like one of my favorite things is seeing those in-between parts where it's like, well, I know it cut here. I did not see a table thing. That's really cool. You know,
Yeah.
I know it cut here, but this one's just them traveling or whatever. So,
I definitely, in the beginning of the fight, the opening couple of sets where, you know, obviously we're seeing the kind of mirror move crossover that Obi-Wan and Anakin do, like at the very beginning in front of the ship. And I feel like the beginning really impressed me because I feel like they were trying to go with a more Clone Wars style there. Like it wasn't matching perfectly with Revenge of the Sith. But then like as it went on, and probably, I mean, this thing took like 4 years for them to make.
oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm sure, like, at a certain point, it's just like, all right, I have 50 more shots to do. Let's get this going. And they just started match moving a lot more to what Revenge of the Sith really looked like, you know? But so there were definitely moments in there. I'm like, yeah, that part, I think you really nailed it there. And there's other parts where I'm like, I think you maybe went too far here, you know? But I think that's true of everything.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
I can do the same thing with the sequel trilogy. I can do the same thing with the prequels.
Yeah.
I can do the same thing with the original trilogy. And that's a fantastic thing that you did. What an achievement.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Now, here's the thing. I think this was cool. But you know what would be cooler? And I think that we should encourage people to go out and do this, / maybe we start doing it ourselves.
What?
Bring animated fights into live action. Don't bring a live action fight into an animation.
Make a.
Let's go do some of these crazy fights in live action. And do scenes like that.
Let's start with Obi-Wan versus Maul from Rebels.
Hell yeah.
It's a very easy one too.
It's easy, but I mean, that would be gorgeous.
It could look really cool.
That would be
But no,
perfectly filmed on a volume.
Dooku versus Asajj and the Night Sisters.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Or
because
Savage,
again,
Savage and Asajj versus Dooku. That'd be a fun one too. To see that in
dude,
live action.
Do Palpatine versus Savage and Maul.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Live
too.
action, you know?
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong. I mean, I love Clone Wars, but you cannot do the same thing in animation as you can in live action. I mean, he's an angry tornado in that fight. How do you do an angry tornado in live action?
Yeah.
You can do it, but it's going to take a lot of skill, a lot of creativity, and a lot of time. And, oh, man, I would just love to do that. Can you imagine if we just got paid to do that? Let's just do that.
No,
Pay us to do that.
Who's not? Who?
I don't know.
Who does
I don't know. To get a hold of somebody. Somebody can make that decision.
But no, that'd be cool. I like that. There's some cool fights in Rebels. There's some cool fights in Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that you start with those, and then we're gonna get more stuff coming.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do like cool like Bad Batch things? You know, like clones fighting.
Sure.
Like that. That could be fun too.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be fun. I mean, it's like a project on this scope where it's like, hey, let's take something that you like and put it into a new medium. I think I'd be more excited to, because I mean, that's probably the biggest critique I have of Star Wars animation is the lightsaber fights don't feel like lightsaber fights like I used to watch them when I was a kid. And you can say like, Eric, that's unattainable. You know, you can't go to a childhood fantasy. And it's like, no, we did it in a parking lot, in a cave.
No scraps. But no, yeah, you can do
Yeah.
it. It just depends what you want to do and how much effort you want to put into it. And
Yeah, exactly.
we spent a lot of late nights trying to get lightsaber fights.
And well, I mean, that's the
working,
thing
you know?
too. Like there is something to be said about fights that are choreographed by the performers and not choreographed by somebody else that then performers come in and do.
Sure.
Right? Because there's always going to be a slight awkwardness. Like your shin bone is going to be differently placed, so you would turn this way as opposed to this way. Like the curve of your back is slightly different, so you're not going to be doing it exactly like this. You might be coming in and ducking under it and stuff. So, I mean, I think that you can kind of see that with Hayden Christensen. He definitely trained, I think, longer than anybody else trained on the prequels. I mean, even though Ewan McGregor has a whole other movie ahead of him, I'm pretty sure I've read that Hayden Christensen went way harder with it in terms of like trying to get in there and even being part. Like you can watch Nick Gillard's stuff and you never see Ewan McGregor on it, but Hayden Christensen is there during the rehearsals doing the previs because that was important to him, you know? And that's why his moves feel like his moves, and other times you see Ewan McGregor and he's doing that's not his move.
Well, there's the Anakin thing, right?
Yeah.
There's like he does the swirl behind the back and stuff, and I
And
always
Ewan
felt
McGregor's-
like
yeah.
Anakin's looked good,
Yeah.
and Ewan looked like he was kind of like maybe like he had to do it,
Yeah.
and because Anakin could do it, he had to copy what Anakin did,
Yeah.
and it wasn't necessarily one of his moves.
Yeah.
His always looked a little bit more, arm came out a little bit more than Anakin's just had a flow to it.
Yeah. No, there's I mean, I love the prequels, but I can tell when it's weak, and that scene, I don't think the idea is bad. The idea is that these two have trained their entire lives together. They can fight at such a ferocious speed that they can't even touch each other. They just know each other. It's muscle memory. They're doing this and at a million miles an hour, and they're perfectly in sync.
Mm-hmm.
But the shot choices, I feel like, distract versus show that. I would have maybe went in a little bit more, maybe covered the thirds over with like over a shoulder shot versus more of like a profile shot like we got, because that is not a Ewan McGregor incepting that move idea. That is someone being like, all right, we're going to do this thing, and then he goes into that role, and then it kind of looks awkward on him. You know?
Yeah, like it could have been Hayden being like, "Hey, look at this. Oh, that's really good. Let's put that in there."
Mhm.
When do we do that? It's like, well, Ewan would do the same thing.
Yeah.
He's like, "How do you do this?"
No, we kind of played around in Ferocity, one of our lightsaber fights, with that idea. It was a part where like we just had kind of like blades being twirled, like, you know, just kind of like at each other. But because we framed it so that they're crossing each other, it looks like you're fighting, but you're not. It's just blade twirling. And I'm adding in like the effects to make it look like it's fighting, and that I feel like gives you like, oh my god, they're going so fast, but it's an illusion. It's a magic trick. It's the movies, baby.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what scene you're talking about, and I'm like, you know what? I can't really tell. And if I say it, people might be able to tell.
You can't tell.
But if you, it's one of those things where it's like, you would have issues where it's like, oh, there's this, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'd watch it like, oh, I see it now, and now I can't not see it.
No, I mean,
but
that's
before
why,
you told me, I didn't know.
That's why I literally call it a magic trick. Like once you learn the trick, it doesn't get you anymore. When Penn and Teller tell you like what they're doing, and then you watch the first part again, you're like, oh, okay, it's not special anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, you want to be tricked. Your brain wants to feel like it's real, even though we all know these are actors on a set filming, 5 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
And then we edit it all into this big, awesome 14-minute fight, and we just all accept that, So the magic has to be there, and I love things like that. But yeah, when to point them out, you do kind of ruin the magic.
Yep.
So you're welcome.
All right, well, guys, that's our thoughts on the Battle of Heroes, Clone Wars. Hello there.
Absolutely.
Video.
Yeah. Great job, guys. If
Really
whoever's doing this is watching our reaction to it, like you did a hell of an achievement. It was so much fun, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about these incredibly nerdy niche things.
Yeah.
Right here
Yes.
at Wave Squadron.
Yeah. So if you're watching this here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe.
Yeah.